In this WrestleTalk news, is Dax Harwood's podcast being cancelled soon? Will Ospreay want a WWE match? Naomi may be returning to WWE after all, and more.
Support WrestleTalk!
Dax Harwood has made headlines recently, and unfortunately not for his stellar in-ring work that he had throughout the whole of 2022, but because of comments he made on his new podcast, FTR with Dax Harwood. On the first episode, Dax spoke on CM Punk, his thoughts on the brawlout situation, and how he wants everyone involved in that situation to try and sort things out to shape the course of wrestling history. These comments were not received favorably by some members of the AEW locker room, though reportedly, as some backstage were not happy, with previous reports noting that people like Chris Jericho wanted to make sure that Punk never came back to the company. A couple of people with some hefty podcast experience, being Jeff Jarrett and Conrad Thompson, spoke about the podcast on their own podcast, that being My World with Jeff Jarrett, and they didn't think Dax's comments were exactly smart. Conrad Thompson said, "It's kind of unspoken. When you talk to Tony Schiavone or Bruce Pritchard, we don't talk about current stuff. My phone rang off the hook all of Wednesday, and early in the morning, after the 38 texts about it, I thought, I guess I got to go listen to this." But the real intriguing bit is that the pair don't think the podcast will be allowed to be around for too much longer. I don't know how much longer he's going to be allowed to do this, but I guess there's another one coming out Thursday. I feel like that FTR podcast is a dead man walking. While this certainly is just speculation from a couple of people on a podcast, I do think their experience in the field and in the wrestling industry as a whole does lend some credence to their thoughts and doesn't necessarily have to be taken with a pinch of salt, though at the same time, this is also speculation. Do you think TK will allow Dax to keep doing the podcast? Let us know down in the comments. And on the subject of Jeff Jarrett, people have also been talking about him lately, following Max Caster's rap on last week's Dynamite, where he mentioned that cheeky little line about Jeff stealing Kurt Angle's wife, as Karen Jarrett used to be married to Kurt Angle, you see. This has led to all sorts of responses, from Karen herself, who waited on social media to tell Max Caster he'd gone too far and didn't know what he'd started. Jeff Jarrett himself then responded on the aforementioned My World with Jeff Jarrett podcast, where he called out not only Max Caster, but Kurt Angle, Vince Russo, Dixie Carter, and probably many others. The final point he sought to make, though, is that Caster had multiple receipts coming for bringing up old family troubles again. This has in turn prompted a response from Max Caster's tag partner Anthony Bowens, who took to Twitter to share his thoughts about all this. "I'm not for airing personal stuff on Twitter, but Kurt Angle is the man, and I respect him and his accomplishments way more than I ever will Jeff Jarrett. I just caught the podcast. If you take any liberties with Caster tomorrow night, there's gonna be a problem." So is this all a work? You'd probably think everything would have been signed off beforehand, and this is all to build hype for the eventual match, but this also isn't the first time that Caster has been in hot water for his rap, so who knows? And if you didn't know, today is Wrestle Kingdom Day, and while there's a separate video on the channel to go over all that stuff, there's some other interesting notes surrounding the show and people involved too. Thank you for being awesome pledge hammers on our Patreon page, The Vindicator, Finn Brennan, and Double L, Liam Leonard. You can get your own shout out and loads of extra bonus content by visiting us at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Sasha Banks is no more, as Mercedes Varnado officially unveiled herself at Wrestle Kingdom 17 under her new alias, Mercedes Moné, beginning a feud with IWGP Women's Champion Kairi. There's more details on that in the other news video on the channel today, but surrounding that there were also a couple of other people with Moné that weren't seen on camera. It was reported yesterday that Naomi was in Japan, but more than likely was just there to support her friend in her big moment at Wrestle Kingdom. There's another name to add to that list as well though, that being currently contracted WWE talent Bayley. PW Insider is reporting that Bayley is also in Japan, but that purely is just to support Mercedes as a friend and will just be backstage at the show. There's nothing more to that story really. I just think it's neat. Yay for friendship. But that other name that was slated to be in Japan alongside Mercedes Moné was Naomi, and many thought that since her contract had expired in WWE and she was a proper free agent, that meant that Naomi was too. However, there may be more to this once more, as Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Live noted that he's under the impression that Naomi will not be joining Varnado in New Japan or joining AEW, but will in fact be returning to WWE. Now, after Triple H took over WWE, I think this is the direction many expected both Sasha Banks and Naomi to go, but obviously that's not the case for the former Banks, which means it's anyone's guess as to what Naomi does. Maybe she's in line for a Rumble return. or something. But that's not the only person that wants to be wrestling other WWE wrestlers. Great segue, Pete, as will Ospreay, who at the time of recording is about to have his match with Kenny Omega, which I assume will be at least 6 stars. It's in the Tokyo Dome after all. Recently spoke with WrestleBinge by Sportskeeda, where he mentioned that he never quite knows how far the Forbidden Door is open. That's because Ospreay is facing, or has faced by the time this video goes out, I suppose, an AEW talent in Kenny Omega, while WWE's Carl Anderson wrestled on the show too. Plus, WWE Shinsuke Nakamura recently wrestled at Pro Wrestling Noah against the Great Muta, so who knows what's happening. Ospreay spoke on the possibility of having a Forbidden Door crossover match with Seth Rollins, as the two had some fairly significant social media beef in the past. All the smoke is cleared between myself and Seth, but there's always that desire in wanting to see two guys just beat the crap out of one another. If Seth's still got a bit of an issue, then I've got a bit of an issue, so he's more than welcome to come over to Japan. I think I speak for the vast majority of the wrestling fanbase when I say, yes please, that would be nice, please. Thank you. But if Seth Rollins were to head over to Japan to compete, he'd need a visa to do so, as all international wrestlers do. And wouldn't you know it, WWE has had some visa trouble lately. Recently, there's been a little bit of an absence of UK-based wrestlers on NXT and WWE programming, and apparently it's the visas to blame. According to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, visa issues are to blame as to why these UK-based wrestlers haven't been appearing lately. What the visa issues are, it's unclear, but regardless, they haven't been able to sort it out to give them some TV time. Fingers crossed they can at least get these issues sorted by the Royal Rumble, or sooner, as they'll need as many bodies as they can to fill out the Rumble matches. Interestingly though, Drew McIntyre appeared on Raw, so maybe they're already sorted, or maybe it's only select wrestlers and it doesn't apply to all. I don't know. I don't have any details. I know as much as you do. But once these visa issues are sorted, we might be seeing more of wrestlers across every brand going forward, as according to Fightful Select, Triple H has no intention of slowing down cross-brand appearances, especially when it comes to stories involving the Bloodline, which makes sense, given that the Usos and Roman Reigns respectively hold all of the men's gold across both brands that aren't the Intercontinental and US Championships. This was seen even on this week's episode of Raw, where not only were the Bloodline on the show, but they were also jumped by Drew McIntyre and Sheamus of SmackDown, furthering their rivalry ahead of the latter's tag title match on SmackDown this Friday. How long do you think it'll be before the brand split is officially dead, as opposed to unofficially dead as it is right now? I bet they'll make a big announcement out of it and say superstars from any brand can appear on any brand they like, and the fans will be like, yeah, no, you've been doing that anyway, you numpties. Also on this week's Raw, Alexa Bliss lost her Raw Women's Championship match against Bianca Belair when she was corrupted via mind control thanks to Bray Wyatt's imagery flashing on the screen and got herself disqualified by attacking the referee. That is a sentence that I said. While they've teased Bliss potentially becoming more and more heelish over time with more corruption from Wyatt, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, she is now officially 100% a heel. Whether they tease that she doesn't know if she's good or evil, or she's being manipulated by the Butterfly or the Moth or Bray Wyatt or Uncle Howdy or whoever, Alexa Bliss is a heel going forward. Well, that's good to know, and also interesting considering Bray Wyatt himself is reportedly internally listed as a babyface, so how's that gonna work? After the match with Belair on Raw though, Bliss attacked her and DDT'd her on the steps, twice, and you could see Belair immediately bleeding. Belair then took to Twitter post-Raw and revealed that she actually needed 3 stitches in her chin, posting photos with the caption, "I am not okay, but Alexa Bliss won't be either. Payback is a 3-stitch Belair." There was also an interesting name backstage at Raw as well, as according to Fightful Select, Summer Rae was there, though they also note that there are currently no plans to bring her back to the company or TV. Though I wouldn't put a Royal Rumble appearance past them either, so once again, who knows? That's the story of the video. Who knows? But something we do know is that SmackDown sure was watched by a lot of people. Great segue, Pete. Largely bolstered by the appearance of John Cena, who teamed with Kevin Owens to take on Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics is reporting that the show drew an average of 2.629 million viewers, up by 10.5% from the previous week's numbers, and the largest viewership of the show since the Christmas Day 2020 episode, which was inflated by an NFL overrun on Fox. This is good news for WWE. Now head over and check out Luke and Ollie's breaking news video about Sasha Banks / Mercedes Bernardo / Mercedes Moné / Boss Time / the blueprint / the CEO of stuff. Boss Time.
Sasha Mercedes Moné Banks has just debuted for New Japan Pro Wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom 17, as was reported. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. Welcome to this WrestleTalk News Breaking News edition.